Stop trying to impress people who don't matter. You have been performing your entire life for people who are not watching as closely as you think, for an audience that is mostly distracted, for applause that, if it came, would satisfy you for approximately 5 minutes before you needed more. You have been performing your whole life for people who are not watching, and the tragedy is not that they are not watching. The tragedy is how much of your one life you have spent trying to make them the career chosen because of how it would sound at family dinners, the car bought to match the street you live on, the social media post crafted to show the version of your life that gets the most approval, the opinion held back because it might not land well, the dream shelved because someone whose name you will barely remember in 10 years might have thought it was unrealistic. This is not a judgment. It is a description. Because almost every human being does this, has always done this, and the Stoics identified it as one of the primary sources of human suffering and wasted life. 2,000 years before social media gave us 1,000 new ways to perform it. This is the final video of Series 2, and I want to end it with the most practically liberating idea in the entire Stoic tradition: the opinion of people who do not matter. And by matter, I mean people who do not genuinely know you, love you, or have skin in the outcome of your life. Those opinions have no claim on your choices. None. Zero. And the moment you understand that, really understand it, something inside you that has been held very tightly for a very long time begins to release. Let's name the audience. Because the performance only continues as long as the audience stays unnamed. Who you are performing for. Name them to be free of them. The family member with an opinion about everything. The relative who asks about your job, your relationship, your life choices at every gathering. Who you have been trying to impress, or at least not disappoint, since childhood. Who has never once had to live with the consequences of your decisions, but whose imagined reaction shapes them anyway. The social media audience. People you went to school with who you haven't spoken to in years. Strangers who follow you but do not know you. An algorithm that rewards performance over authenticity. You have been crafting your life's presentation for this audience, and most of them are scrolling past it in under 2 seconds. The colleagues and neighbors. The people whose professional or social opinion feels important in the moment, but who, in 5 years, will barely remember the specific things you did to impress them. The performance for this audience costs you time, money, energy, and authenticity for an approval that is temporary and conditional. The imaginary critic, the most exhausting audience of all, the one that exists entirely in your head. The composite of every person who has ever made you feel judged, assembled into a permanent internal audience that evaluates every decision you make. This audience is not real, but the power you give it is. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Marcus Aurelius wrote that sentence. It never ceases to amaze me, with the specific wonder of someone who had spent decades observing human behavior at the highest levels of society and found the same pattern everywhere. People who genuinely love themselves, genuinely care about their own lives, nevertheless, consistently sacrifice what they want for what other people will think. He found it extraordinary. So should we. How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only at what he himself does. Epictetus was perhaps the clearest of all three on this point. He made a fundamental distinction between what is up to us and what is not up to us. Other people's opinions fall firmly in the second category. They are not yours to control, influence, or be responsible for. Spending energy on what people think of you is spending your most valuable resource on something that is not yours and never was. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed. Seneca wrote about this with characteristic directness. Retire into yourself. Not permanently, not as an act of isolation, but as a daily practice of returning to your own values, your own judgment, your own sense of what matters. The person who knows who they are does not need constant external validation. They have the only audience that matters, their own honest assessment of their own life. That assessment cannot be faked, bought, or performed for. Retire into yourself as much as you can. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. 3 freedoms. What actually becomes possible When you stop performing for people who don't matter, you get your energy back. The performance is exhausting, not just emotionally, physically, cognitively, practically exhausting. Every decision filtered through what others will think. Every action preceded by its imagined reception. Every word chosen partly for the audience rather than entirely for the truth. That filtering costs you more than you realize. In time, in mental energy, in the creative capacity that goes into managing impressions instead of building things. When you stop performing for people who don't matter, you do not suddenly have more hours in the day, but the hours you have become radically more productive because they are being spent entirely on what is actually yours. Your work, your values, your life, not the performance of it. How much time he gains who does not look to, see what his neighbor says or does or thinks. Your decisions become cleaner. Most bad decisions have an audience problem at their core, the career chosen for status, the relationship maintained for appearances, the opportunity declined because of how the risk would look, the business not started because someone might think it was foolish. Remove the audience, or rather, remove the wrong audience, and the decision becomes dramatically clearer. What do I actually want? What does my honest assessment say is right? What would I do if nobody was watching? That last question, what would you do if nobody was watching, is one of the most useful questions in Stoic practice, because the answer reveals what you actually value, not what you perform, what you value. And living from that place, even imperfectly, even gradually, is the beginning of a life that is genuinely yours. Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. The right people find you. Here is the unexpected gift of stopping the performance. The people who matter, who genuinely matter, who will love you and challenge you and build with you. They cannot find you while you are performing, because the person performing is not you. It is a character you have constructed for an audience that does not actually care. The real you, the one with actual opinions, actual values, actual weirdness, and actual depth. That person is far more interesting and far more magnetic than any performance could be. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." You cannot find those people while you are busy impressing the wrong ones. Stop the performance. Let the real version of you be visible. The people who respond to that person are the only ones whose response was ever worth having. Retire into yourself as much as you can. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. This is the last video of Series 2. 10 videos. 10 different ways of looking at the same fundamental question. What does it take to build a life that is actually yours? You have to show up when nobody is watching. You have to keep going when life breaks you. You have to stop measuring yourself against other people's timelines. You have to lose things to make room for what is actually yours. You have to stop waiting for rescue. You have to start before you feel ready. You have to use the night that changes everything. You have to understand that your suffering is building something. You have to find meaning in your pain. And finally, you have to stop performing for people who will never be in the front row of your actual life. The Stoics called this freedom, not freedom from difficulty, freedom from the unnecessary suffering of living for the wrong audience, freedom to build something real, honest, and completely yours. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of Rome. He still had to fight every single morning to live for his own values, rather than the expectations placed on him. If the most powerful man in the ancient world had to practice this daily, so do you. So do I. It is not a destination. It is a practice, but it is the most important practice of your life. Stop performing. Start living. Series 3 is coming. That is Series 2 of the Silent Discipline. 10 videos. Thank you for watching, everyone. Subscribe for Series 3, coming soon. Drop a comment. Who have you been performing for? And what would you do differently if you stopped? I read everyone. See you in Series 3.